Are you still listening to this podcast? Aren't you bored yet? Today, we put the words still and yet under the microscope and talk about how you can use these two words in English. Welcome to
Aprender Inglés with Reza and Craig.
Hello and welcome, especially if you're a new listener. My name's Craig.
And my name's Reza.
And together we're going to help you improve your English and take it to the next level. How are you doing, Reza?
I'm very well, Craig.
So today we're looking at the two words yet and still. But before that, we have a voice message from Pablo from Viescas, who designed the image that we used for our 200th episode. And thanks to Mamen for helping Pablo to record the message. Let's listen to Pablo's message.
Hi, Craig and Reza. This is Pablo from Viescas. I just want to say thank you for saying my name in one of your podcasts. As Mamen, I also love your work. I am recording this message in my IT lesson. That's all for now. Bye, guys!
Well, thank you very much, Pablo, for your message. Reza, any comments?
Thanks very much, Pablo. What great pronunciation you have. Really, really good.
Yes, I agree. And I could not find one mistake. It was absolutely perfect. Well done, Pablo.
I'm afraid I could find one mistake, Pablo. Not in your pronunciation, but what tiny grammar thing. You said as mammon. You mean like mammon.
Ah, yes,
like mammon. Yes, but we understood you perfectly because you say like when there's no verb. So like mammon. But if you have a verb, you say as, for example, as he does. So you got a verb, does. So like mammon. But your pronunciation was fantastic. And your grammar was also very, very good. Excellent.
Congratulations. And if Pablo can do it, then you can do it too. Why not send us a voice message and practice your speaking as Pablo has done? You can send your voice message via SpeakPipe. So go to speakpipe.com/Ingles podcast.
And thanks for listening, particularly people in places which are off the beaten track. Off the beaten track. That means not in well-known or popular areas. For example, Viescas, which we know is a beautiful place. We've seen the photos, but not many people know about it. And we are really happy when we get feedback from places like that, from Los Manicos up in Aragon. Thanks a lot for getting in touch.
And we're also happy when we get reviews on iTunes. And we have a review from Pipo Rodriguez from Brazil, who gave us a wonderful 5 stars and a review that says, awesome, one of the best podcasts I had listening. Probably better to say I have listened to. Use the present perfect simple. I have listened to. They are very funny and professional. I listen to those guys every day in my car going to work. So that's one place you can improve your English and do something else at the same time, like driving to work. Why not multitask? And we do appreciate your reviews and comments on iTunes. We read every one of them. If you would like to subscribe on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, then that does help us to increase our visibility so more people listen to us. And you may not know that we are also on Spotify. So if you do use the Spotify service for music, then you can also find us and listen to us on the Spotify software. Just search for Learn English or Aprender Inglés and you'll find Aprender Inglés con Reza y Craig and Inglés podcast.
And muito obrigado a Pipo Rodriguez for your 5-star review.
Yes.
Obrigado.
Obrigado. What's next?
So we got another voice message, this time from Mexico City. That's what you call in Spanish Mexico DF. We just say Mexico City as opposed to the entire country. So Roberto Barrera from Mexico City has this message.
Hello guys, this is Roberto Barrera from Mexico City. I started listening to you couple of weeks ago. And I would say that I really like your podcast because it's a very good way of having new words, different types of accents, and several phrases or sentences to deal with. I really enjoy every single morning to listening to you. And I have a couple of questions. Basically, I'd like to know the difference between fit and suit and still and yet. So if you can give some comments or just a few examples about it, would be great. So right now I'm studying English and I'm improving my listening, my speaking, and all that stuff. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a great day. You both. Bye bye.
Thank you very much for taking the time, Roberto, to send us your voice message. Any comments, Reza?
Thanks, Roberto. I think your pronunciation was fantastic, really good, and your message was crystal clear. And a good question. What is the difference between fit and suit? They're often confused, aren't they, Craig?
They are, and I think perhaps fit and suit may be easier to explain than still and yet, that Roberto also asked about. But basically, if something fits you, it's the correct size. And if something suits you, then it looks good on you. It's compatible with your body or with the colours you're wearing. So, for example, here I'm wearing a pair of brown shorts because it's warm at the moment in Valencia. Reza, do these shorts fit me?
They fit you, yes, they fit you. And they also suit you. They're a good style for the shape of your body and your personality. They suit you, yeah. And they fit you, both things.
Thank you. Although actually a lot of clothes that I have in my wardrobe don't fit me because I've put on weight recently, so they're too small. So maybe those clothes suit me, and that's why I keep them, because I like them, I like the colours, I like the style. But because I've put on a little weight, they don't fit me. They are now too small.
There's another couple of meanings of these words, but I guess that doesn't confuse you, Roberto, but we'll just check anyway. There's also the word fit, the adjective, like to keep fit. For example, I'm not very fit because I don't do enough exercise. I've got quite a bit of fat and I can't run very far. I'm not fit. That's the adjective fit. And then, of course, there's the other meaning of suit, clothes. So a man's suit is usually a pair of trousers and a jacket, which are made from the same material, the same style, same pattern. You buy them together and you normally wear that with a shirt and tie. It's quite a formal way of dressing. That's a suit. Or a woman's suit can be something similar, a jacket and perhaps trousers or a skirt which combines with that. So that's also suit.
And you can also use the word fit as a noun. Something can be a good fit. Se encaja bien. For example, if we have sponsors on this podcast, if the sponsor sells dictionaries or English books, then that sponsor is a good fit for this podcast. It's a good fit for us. But if a beer company wants to, well, actually a beer company might be a good fit. That might be a good fit as well if we're drinking beer while we're podcasting. But you get the idea. If something's a good fit, then se encaja bien. It's a good match. It makes a good connection with you.
So, Craig, we still have some more grammar to deal with.
Yes, we haven't finished yet. So let's look at still and yet, which are both adverbs. And both, I think, Reza, can mean aún and todavía in Spanish. Is that right?
As far as I know, yes. But I'm afraid that doesn't help you much when it comes to using them because the translation changes depending on the context. But yep, they can both be that.
So when do we use still, generally speaking?
Well, I would say that you use still when you talk about an action or situation that continues to, let's say, to a point of reference. A point of reference.
Un punto de referencia.
Yeah. Can you think of a couple of examples, Craig?
Well, I've been living in Spain for 20 years, more or less, and I'm still learning Spanish. My Spanish is not as good as I would like it to be, so I am still, todavía, aún, I'm still learning Spanish. And I'm happy to say that we are still teaching English after all these years because there are Spanish people who need to improve their English. So Reza and I are still teaching English.
So in those sentences, the point of reference is now. These days, we're still teaching English up to now. Craig's still learning Spanish. So it hasn't stopped. So very often, still refers to something continuing up to now.
As I said before, some of my clothes don't fit, but I'm still on a diet because I need to keep losing weight. So I'm still on a diet todavía.
I've had my breakfast, but you know what? I'm still hungry.
You've had some biscuits as well and you're still hungry?
I know. I'm such a greedy pig. I've had my breakfast, but I'm still hungry.
So you're not full yet?
No. Right up to now, I still can't satisfy my hunger. It's terrible. So there's another meaning of still up to now. Our point of reference is now. But it's not always now, Craig, is it?
No, it can be in the past. For example, Igor still hadn't been born when the USSR collapsed in 1991. So now we're going back to the past when Igor still hadn't been born.
So we got a point of reference. That's when the USSR collapsed, 1991. But this time it's not now, it's in the past.
And also this morning it was raining, wasn't it? It was raining for about an hour this morning. Were you still asleep, Reza, when the rain started?
Yes, I was. We were still asleep when the rain started. So this all happened in the past. It's not now. But I used the word still there to say that the action continued up to the point of reference. The point of reference is when the rain started. And at that time, yes, I was still sleeping. We were still asleep when the rain started.
And in the future, we could say, will Reza and myself still be podcasting 10 years from now? Will we still be doing this?
I hope so.
That's the future. Will you be doing this, do you think, still?
I hope so.
Me too.
I hope so. And I think it's possible. I have a feeling that podcasts are going to last a long time. I'm sure someday in the distant future, some technology will overtake it. But I think there's a lot of years left in podcasting still.
In fact, I have a request to make, Reza. When I die, I'd like to be buried in a coffin, which is the box that they bury you in. And I'm asking you as a friend to put a microphone in the coffin for me so that I can still podcast when I'm under the ground. I'll be, hey, Reza, let me out of the coffin.
Can you imagine Craig's
I'm still podcasting.
A dead body podcast. So Craig, what's the latest this week? Well, a few maggots, a couple of worms eating into me. Not a lot of cultural life down here.
But I could say I'm dead happy because I'm still podcasting. I'm dead happy. That means very happy.
You know what, Craig? I definitely would do that. I would do that if I had the chance. But I reckon I'm not gonna be able to because I can see myself dying before you. So you're gonna have to do something for me. But yeah, if I'm still alive, I will do it.
Okay.
If I'm still alive.
Thank you. Can we use still in a negative sentence?
Well, Bono from U2 did, as you might recall.
Bono.
He said, I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
That's right.
That old U2 song, which I like still. He still hasn't found what he's looking for. So up to that time, hasn't found it. He's still looking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a negative, isn't it? Haven't found is a negative verb, and he used still. So yes, you can.
Still often goes before a verb or an adjective. For example, we've been podcasting for over 4 years and I still enjoy it. So here we have the verb enjoy and still goes before the verb. I still enjoy it. You can also say I enjoy it still.
You can, but it's more typical, isn't it, before the verb?
Yes, it is. Yeah. It is, yeah. I still enjoy it. I still podcast. I still get up early. I still work at the same place. Of course, you can also emphasize the still when it's before the verb by stressing it a lot more. So you could say, I still work at the same school, or, yeah, I still work at the same school. So when you emphasize that still, it gives it more power. What about still before an adjective? Well, I know that in the past you learned French and you've been learning French for a few years. Are you still interested in learning French?
Oui, I am. Although I don't get the time to do it the way I'd like, but I am. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll meet Pilar from France, the Spanish person living in France, and she can help us a bit if you're listening, Pilar.
But you're still enthusiastic about learning it.
Oh, yes, definitely. I'm just lazy, but enthusiastic, yeah.
So for the opposite of still, we can use no longer, not any longer, or not anymore. Can you think of a question for me to use those expressions, Reza? No longer, not any longer, or not anymore?
Yes, one which I know about Craig's past. Do you still follow Arsenal Football Club?
Not anymore, because I've gone off football. To go off something means that you're not interested in it anymore. So I've gone off of football. I watch a lot of rugby. I will be watching the World Cup because I really enjoy international competition. So yeah, I'll be watching the World Cup, of course. But I don't really follow Arsenal anymore. I'm not interested to see if they've won every week. I know they now have a different manager because my dad told me, but I'm not as enthusiastic as I used to be. I don't follow them anymore.
Craig, are you still jogging these days?
Not any longer, because I've got a bad back. So I used to go jogging regularly along the beach here, but I don't go any longer because my back's bad. So there's a use of any longer. And I'm hoping that Reza won't mention Mickey Mouse anymore because I'm getting a bit tired of it.
Indeed,
Are you feeling the same way about your flat?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
Doing up your flat.
Let's change the subject to something that we both are more positive
I'll tell you,
about.
let's make a deal. I won't mention your flat any longer if you don't speak about Mickey Mouse anymore.
I'll try. I can't promise, but I'll try.
Okay.
Sometimes Mickey just pops out. Craig, you know what? I'm sure we both agree about this. If it weren't for our lovely listeners' feedback, this podcast couldn't continue any longer.
Absolutely.
We depend on your feedback.
Yeah. If we don't get feedback from you, then I don't think this podcast could continue any longer. So please keep on giving us your ideas, for future episodes, your suggestions, your questions. Keep giving us feedback so that we can continue with the podcast.
Craig, yet has the meaning of speaking about expected actions that haven't happened before a specific point. For example, you could say, I haven't had breakfast yet, although it's not true. As I said earlier, I have had breakfast and biscuits and I'm still hungry. But let's imagine I haven't had breakfast yet would mean that up to this point, I haven't eaten breakfast.
We haven't had lunch yet.
But we will.
But we will.
We always have a post-podcast lunch together. So it can be negative. I haven't had breakfast yet. Or it's very typical at the end of a sentence. I could ask Craig, have you had breakfast yet?
Yes, I have.
And the answer is, as Craig said, yes, I have. Or if it were negative, Craig, you would say,
no, I haven't. I haven't had breakfast yet.
Or you could do it the short way and the negative one and say, not yet. Or have you done your tax returns yet, Craig?
Not yet, but soon I'll have to do them. So it's, is it this month? Yeah, June. It's this month. So no, I haven't done them yet. Have you done yours yet?
No, I must do them very soon. We'll give you a couple of more examples because those ones referred up to now. That's why we use present perfect, which is very common with yet. Haven't had breakfast yet. Have you done your tax returns yet? But it doesn't have to be present perfect. I could say, I hadn't, that's past perfect. I hadn't even got out of bed yet when my kids ran into the room to wake me up. So that's past perfect. Or she hadn't yet met her new boss before the meeting yesterday. So clearly all of that happened in the past. So we can use the word yet in the present or past or even the future.
And another use of yet, you can use yet in a similar way to still, in positive sentences, but it sounds quite formal. It's not very common in spoken English, but you can use it in a formal situation. For example, you could say, we have yet to make our fortune on the internet, Reza and I. You can also say, we have still to make our fortune. Todavía no hemos hecho. We have yet to make a lot of money on the internet. So again, not very common, sounds a bit formal, but you can use it.
But don't worry about that, Craig, because the best is yet to come.
I agree.
Or the best is still to come.
I agree.
In other words, we're going to do even better podcasts, and our listeners are going to be so impressed that all of them go crazy and they become Patreon sponsors and they give us hundreds of dollars a month.
But it's yet to happen.
It's yet to happen.
It hasn't happened yet. Another example, I've yet to understand Spanish politics. I try to understand Spanish politics, but I've yet to understand it.
There is something even more complicated than that. Italian politics. If you can understand that, you deserve a medal.
I've yet to understand politics in general, or politicians. We can also use still and yet together to explain why an action continues. For example, we're still thinking about where to go for our summer holiday this year. We haven't decided yet. Reza, have you booked your holiday yet for this summer?
I've booked a holiday, but I might even have two. But yes, I have already booked. That means it's done. I've already booked to go to Andalusia,
Wow.
a place I haven't been in many years. I'm really looking forward to going to Andalusia very, very soon.
Very nice. Have you bought your tickets yet?
I've booked the hotel, but I haven't bought the train tickets yet.
Mm-hmm.
I must look into that. Did you notice that I used the word already? Because we don't use the word yet to speak about something that has happened. Yet is for things which haven't happened. So I said that I've already booked my hotel, but I haven't booked the train tickets yet to get to Andalusia. But I've already booked the hotel. So that has happened. So I can't use yet for that. I have to use already.
So let me ask you a question. Have you had any coffee today yet?
Yeah, I've had 3 cups of coffee already.
Wow.
So up to now, I have had 3 cups. So something which has happened already.
Have you eaten any biscuits yet?
I've already eaten several biscuits. Of course, for me, it's a bit like an alcoholic finds it hard to get to midday without a drink. For me to get to midday without a biscuit is not easy. Not easy at all.
If you would like more information about time expressions with the present perfect that we've been speaking about here, there are more examples and some more information back in episode 18, long time ago. So listen to episode 18 that we did with our friend Bea, and you can find that podcast at inglespodcast.com/18.
But for now, we still have another couple of special uses of still.
We haven't finished yet.
Not yet. For example, the meaning of even so. I guess in Spanish you might say aún así or sin embargo or something like that. Craig, can you think of any examples?
Well, my friend John, he doesn't get paid very much per hour. Still, if he works a lot of hours, he can earn a lot of money.
He's an English teacher, I guess.
Yeah. So here in Spanish, I think you would use sin embargo or aún así. He doesn't get paid very much per hour. Still, if he works a lot of hours, he can earn a lot of money. Can you think of another example?
Yes. In fact, it happened to me not long ago. I thought, this isn't actually the food I ordered in a restaurant, but I still like it. I think I ordered pasta, but they accidentally gave me rice, but it was very good rice, so I ate it anyway. It isn't actually the food I ordered, I thought, but I still like it.
Mm-hmm.
And even so, I like it. So I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to eat it.
I wasn't very happy. Still, I paid the bill. Another use of still would be to describe drinks that do not have gas, sin gas. So drinks that are not fizzy, we can say that they are still. For example, excuse me, waiter, I'll have a glass of still mineral water, please. That's agua sin gas. You could have still orange or still lemon. So it's a drink without gas, or a non-fizzy drink.
What's the adjective we normally use if the water does have gas in it?
I would ask for sparkling water. So, excuse me, can I have some sparkling water, please?
Yes, that may be of interest if you've heard the podcast that we did about beer, cerveza, and we were talking about fizzy beer, yeah? And if the beer doesn't have fizz in it, we say it's flat, not still, because flat is something that should be fizzy, maybe, but isn't.
But you wouldn't ask for flat mineral water. You'd ask for still mineral water, STILL.
Because it's supposed to be that way.
Right.
Yeah. But we don't say sparkling for beer. We say fizzy beer. Like Heineken is fizzy beer, but Guinness is not fizzy.
And I suppose it's quite connected because you would use still to describe something that is motionless. So if there are no bubbles in your water, it's still water. And in the same way, if you sit still, you don't move. Immóvil or quieto. So you'd say to your children, hey, sit down and stay still, or sit still and don't move.
It's used in certain collocations to describe activities such as still photography, when you take photographs of things which are not moving, still life paintings. What are they, Craig? Still life paintings?
Paintings of like fruit in a bowl, or maybe a vase of flowers, or something on a table. Something that's not moving would be a still life painting. So we have some other uses of yet. In addition, it could also mean also, or in addition. For example, we have received yet another voice message from our lovely listeners. So, además, también, we have received yet another voice message.
And remember we said if Reza adds yet more references to Craig's supposed love of Mickey Mouse, he might get mad, so I shouldn't do that.
And if I say something yet again about Reza's flat, I think he might get angry. It could also mean but, or pero in Spanish. So, for example, your microphone wasn't expensive, yet it's very good quality.
And here's a lesson for life, even if you don't learn much about English. Money can buy you many things, listeners, yet it can't buy you love.
That's true.
That meaning of yet means but. Yet it can't buy you love, I'm afraid to say.
Money can't buy happiness, yet I'd rather be unhappy and rich than unhappy and poor.
That's for sure. But I'd rather be poor and happy than rich and unhappy.
Me too.
Which is why Craig and I have no problem doing podcasts for free till the day we die. Because we're happy doing them, but we're not going to make any money out of it.
Until I'm buried with that microphone in that coffin.
If we can afford to bury him, we might have to just throw him into the sea or something.
We can use yet after superlatives to mean so far or ever. For example, this could be our best podcast yet. So it really means this could be our best podcast so far, or our best podcast ever.
Yes, or just choosing a man's name at random. Donald is the craziest fool Washington has yet seen. And they've seen a few. He's the craziest fool they've ever seen. Craziest fool they've yet seen. So in this case, yet means that it has happened. Remember we said that before, yet usually means it hasn't happened? But when it's the meaning of superlative so far, it means that it has happened.
And we can also use yet for emphasis, to emphasize something. For example, Craig has eaten yet another chocolate biscuit. And I've broken my diet yet again.
Oh no, yet
Yet again, I've had another chocolate biscuit.
And remember, if Reza makes yet more silly comments, Craig might freak out. So no more silly comments.
Absolutely. So now it's your turn to practice your English. We love hearing your voices. So get in touch and we'll get to know you a little. If you haven't yet sent us a voice message, please send us one. It's very easy. Go to speakpipe.com/inglespodcast, or you can use the SpeakPipe mobile app on iOS if you have an iPhone or a tablet, an iPad. Or if you're on Android, you need to download the SpeakPipe app from the Google Store and put it on your tablet or phone, and then record your voice and send it in to us at inglespodcast.com. Now, you can also record your voice as an MP3 file and send it to us as an email attachment. The addresses you need to send it are
belfastreza@gmail.com
and to me, Craig at inglespodcast.com. So say hello, tell us where you're from, and tell us something about yourself. Try to use the words still and yet in your messages to practice the language in this podcast. Before we go, here's a voice message from Santiago from Colombia. I hope he's still listening and hasn't got bored with the podcast yet.
Hi Craig, hi Reza. My name is Santiago from Colombia. I've been listening to your podcast since a long time ago. Of course you didn't know that because I've never texted, but I do. So this is the first time I send you a voice message, and it's because I got motivated when in last podcast Craig said he really likes when a listener sends a message for the first time. And I felt like it could be a good deal to let you listen to my voice after having listened to yours and help me to improve my listening skills. By the way, guys, I would like to know more about Reza's country because I've been reading some text about Ireland and Northern Ireland, but I would like to know what do British people think about the island area. Well, guys, hope you hear my message soon and have a good day. Bye bye.
Santiago, thanks for your message. Very clear. Good message. I didn't notice any mistakes at all. And your pronunciation was really good. So I'm so glad that finally you have let us hear your voice, because it's a good voice in English. It's very good. So for those of you who still haven't let us hear your voice, if you haven't done it yet, please do. Please do. Like Santiago, you can ask us an interesting question. Well, really, perhaps Craig's the best person to answer this question, because his question was, what do British people think about Northern Ireland? So Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, but I'm just going to say first that I reckon, Craig can tell you what he thinks in a minute, but I reckon for the majority of the UK, Northern Ireland is a pain in the neck. It's an irritating thing that's there, which people would rather wish that it didn't give so many problems. I don't know, Craig. What do you think about it?
Well, it's. I don't really know what to say, because first of all, I have known you for over 20 years and we're very good friends. And my view of Northern Ireland very much comes through you. Now, I've never been to Northern Ireland. I've never been to Belfast. I've been to Ireland, but not Northern Ireland. So I can give an opinion of my view of how I think of the Irish people in general. Very friendly, very amiable, very talkative, and very nice to be with, very good company. But my view of Northern Ireland has been coloured, which means it's been affected by the troubles, as the Northern Irish call it, between the British and Irish separatists back in the, 70s or 80s? And when I was growing up. So my view has been through the media growing up and watching the violence in Northern Ireland when I was younger, and then coming here and knowing Reza and learning about what happened when he was living in Belfast. That's my own experience of it. And not having travelled there and met people, apart from Reza, from Northern Ireland, makes it really difficult for me to give a general opinion.
Yeah. Well, Craig has said, because he's known me for quite a few years, he's probably got quite a bit of information about Northern Ireland from me. I suppose that's inevitable. But how many other people from Northern Ireland have you met in your life, would you say?
Not many. I did have a friend called Aaron, who I think is now living in Australia, and he was a member of the British Army fighting fighting and serving for the Ulster Defence Regiment back in the 80s, when there were a lot of problems, and he didn't talk much about it.
You didn't have to tell me that. I could have guessed that. Yeah.
He didn't really. I asked him a couple of questions and he didn't really speak much about it. We were very good friends, but he grew up in in Belfast and then join the army. But anyway, thanks very much for your question, Santiago, and also for sending in your voice message. So if you would like to follow Santiago in his initiative to be a first-time caller or first-time speaker, please send us your voice messages. Before we go, we'd like to say thank you to our wonderful patrons on Patreon, starting with our gold sponsor, Mr. Bruno, who does walking tours of 2 cities, Copenhagen, with his company CopenhagenWalkingTour.com. And also, if you're going to Rio de Janeiro, don't forget to get in touch with Bruno and try his walking tours of the favelas in Rio de Janeiro. And you can find information for that at favelawalkingtour.com.br. All of the information and links are on his website. And to go there, go to inglespodcast.com/212, where you can find links to his website. Also, thank you to our other wonderful patrons of the show who are supporting us. They are Ana Giovanna, Dana Constantin, Pachi Ibañez, Manuel Tarazona, Juan Carlos Dorado, Maite Palacín Pérez, Lara Allem, Néstor from Luces Extrañas, Maria Gervati, Lorena Sarajarabo, Carlos Garrido, Mamin, Juan Leiva Garrera, Corey Finneran from the baseball podcast IvyEnvy.com, Miren Full, José Luis Arguay, Agus Paulucci, María Raidamen, Manuel García Betagón, Raúl López, Rafael, José Manuel Fernández Picazo, Pilar Martínez, Gambate Blog, Igor Garmendia, Ignacio Espona, Kieran, Ana Herbara, Marina Ortez Pena, Juan Carlos Pantín Fernández, Alejandro Pluma, Alex Cuadra, José Emilio Villena, Esperanza Colmenero, Emilio Manuel Martínez Rivas, Chema Santa Cruz, Ana Fernández Monterrubio, Carlos Caño Domingo, Gustavo, Antonio Díaz, José Antonio Muñoz, Eva María Elzalde Martínez, Arminda Fafo, Carlos Sánchez, Elvira Cortés, Francisco Javier Alejandre Sebastián, and Reza, who are our latest patrons who are supporting the show.
Our most recent patrons are Andrea Mio, Rogelio Menéndez, Antonio Lafuente, Eloy, Pablo Martínez, Miguel, and Javier Correa Sambade.
Thank you to all of you, and I'm very happy and very proud to say that we are very, very close now to our goal of $100 per month, which are providing the transcriptions every week for you to read as you're listening if you need that extra support and reference. So if you would like to join that lovely long list of patrons of the show, go to patreon.com/English Podcast, where for only $1 minimum per month, you can get instant access to recent transcriptions of the podcast, lovingly transcribed by Angelica Bello from Madrid.
And not only that, as an added extra, you'll get to hear your name read out at the end of every podcast by Craig or me in a Geary accent, which is kind of fun.
And thank you also to Patricia Alonso, who continues working to transcribe episodes for you. We now have available episodes 1 to 20, 131 to 142. They are free on the website at inglespodcast.com.
Craig, what have we got coming up in next week's episode?
On next week's podcast, we have your feedback. Feedback we've received from you by email or verbal audio feedback that you've sent us. We'll be answering your questions and giving you information about your English in next week's episode. Until then, it's goodbye from Reza.
And bye-bye from Craig.
The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.